We already heard some good examples tonight of a kind of sustainable leaderships. Now, look at those two guys here, former president and CEO of Enron, the big accounting fraud, maybe one of the biggest in history. Those two guys represent the capitalistic side, the capitalism system, mainly with the representations of maximum self-interest, maximum profits, and of course greed. And as we heard from Wall Street, greed is good, they would say. And here we have Karl the Great, Karl Marx, representing the other system, communistic system. I hope we get the picture back. Yes. Okay, he represents, I can see there, he represents the communistic system, mainly a planned economy, a maximum social welfare, and cooperation. I grew up in both worlds, here in Berlin. I was born in East Berlin, son of a mother whose father fought against the system in the socialistic GDR. He even fought on June 17th in 1953. And on the other hand, my father's father was a policeman for the East German Volkspolizei. So you can see the wall, which you can see on this great picture. We are right there on the left side. Today went right through my family, so it's a kind of going through my heart exactly. So I was searching for a solution, like when I was going to be 11, 12, because the Berlin Wall came down, and of course my parents got divorced under those preconditions, and we moved to the other side of the city. So the other 10 years of my youth I spent in the west part of Berlin, getting the knowledge of the capitalistic system. And after school, I decided to study economics and business, which is very deep in my heart to find out what's going on. So, are they right? Is one of the parts of my family right, capitalistic or communistic? And basically, what I found at Humboldt Universität was the capitalistic school. Of course, mainly theory and the old story about capitalistic maximization problems and a lot of math. So I decided to go on to the practical side of capitalistic system, and where can you find more of experience than in the capital of capitalism, New York City. So I went there, moved there for 1 year after half of my studies, and worked there for a big telco company, big German telco company. You might guess it. And I was reporting directly to the CEO of the company, and I began to getting interested in leadership. And by accident, I got this magazine, Inside the Mind of the Leader. And suddenly many of my questions were answered. Psychological questions about good leadership, but always there was something missing. There was effective leadership, leading by feel, and so on. But one thing was missing, what I call the sustainability gap. There was no mentioning of sustainability, there was no morality, there was no responsibility. Everything in that direction for leaders was missing. You couldn't find anything. So I went back after a year to Berlin and started majoring in entrepreneurship and international management, just around the corner here, and decided to write my thesis in international management because Professor Schwalbach's institute was the only institute which raised questions of corporate social responsibility. And it's important to know that this is the only field at this university, business and economics fields, which raises questions in that area. Nobody mentions responsibility, personal responsibilities, employees, and so on. So I studied it, and Professor Schwalbach already knew about this gap. He knew that there was something missing, and he gave me the topic of my talk today, the honorable merchant, der ehrbare Kaufmann in German. So there are some sources indicating that even in English language, honorable merchant is the right translation. And I didn't even heard about this term. Several years of studies, and nobody even talked about that. And I was always going to conferences and so on. Nobody talked about that. But the question was always there: how can we assure that leaders act responsible? So the term sounds ancient, sounds old style, and so basically what I did was going back in history and search for good examples for rules or certain things in history books. And I found something. And here's one of those merchants of a painting of Georg Gysi here in London. And I found the guiding principles of the honorable merchant, which are a kind of middle way between those extreme systems. They were established by merchant guilds in the European Middle Ages, and they were taught in merchant manuals. So merchants, young merchants got taught certain rules. And I want to read out loud a good example for that out of the merchant manual Pratica della Mercatura from Italy in the year 1340. And here it says, what every true and honest merchant must have with himself. Integrity always suits him. Long foresight keeps him well. And what he promises doesn't come lacking. And he should be, if able, of beautiful and honest behavior, according to what need or reason he intends. And to buy cheap he sells dear. Beyond rebuke with a beautiful welcome, he avails himself of the church and gives for God. He grows in a merit and sells with a word. Usury and the game of dice are forbidden, and take away everything. He writes his calculations well and does not err. Amen. So this old source, very old source, the oldest which I found for the Middle Ages, represents well what merchants aimed at. They aimed at protecting themselves and at the same time protecting the society. And those guiding principles led to a sustainable social and economic development in European cities, which you can observe today, even in Hamburg, for example, very old city, very many old cities that grew and had a sustainable development. And if we talk in Germany today of the eco-social market economy, you can say that those guiding principles are the individual guiding rules for them. So what I basically did was searching for those examples and creating a model out of it. And now we go through this model, more scientific, more dry. You can see here in the middle, the red section, the red circle represents the basic humanistic education of merchants or entrepreneurs today. So they go to school and learn behavior. They learn the good behavior in their family. And on the second level, there is the economic expertise. They go into practice, they study business, and so on. So they know business, of course. Otherwise, they couldn't be a good entrepreneur. And then that's followed by a stable character with business virtues, virtues like honesty, integrity, farsightedness, and so on. There's the big catalog, which you can read it. And with that precondition, with that basics, you have an entrepreneur has relations to stakeholder, as we would talk today. And here you see the stakeholders, and you develop a sense of responsibility for those stakeholders. And on the level of the firm level, you are responsible for employees. And if we would see it today, imagine a world where business leaders are taught that they have to be responsible for their employees, that they have to respect human rights, that they have to take care of a healthy social balance, healthy work-life balance, for example. Then they have customers. They have to take care, and that's already been done, of high quality and good safety. They have to talk to their suppliers, and they have to suggest to them that they stick to certain social and ecological standards. They have to search for investment opportunities by sustainable banks. They have to be fair competitors and not suing other competitors with lawsuits. And if we go even further to the society level, we see consumers, so the end consumer. He needs products that are healthy, especially in the food sector. A good sustainable leader would today invest in charity, for example, that the community in which he has his own business, which enables his business, is growing too. He has to be transparent to the public, talk to them, and raise issues if something is important for the public. Just remember Fukushima, where nothing was transparent to the public for months. And he has to be, even could be, acting within the political system. He could act within political or economic institutions and help them with his knowledge. And in the end, of course, which is the old sustainable topic, which was the beginning maybe of sustainability, the environment. He has to invent technologies that are sustainable, just like we heard in the talk before. And I mean, that sounds nice, but everyone would agree that too many of those people are missing. We have the German Mittelstand, as we call it, and many of them would say, yeah, we do that already. And many of you know family businesses that are very engaged and responsible for all of that. But where it is missing is within the educational systems. So we have to invest in our future. So if Anna should have a good life, we should educate her and her friends, that maybe she gets a grasp of what it is to be a sustainable leader, and that she understands when she sees a sustainable leader. Because it's very important that you all know what is sustainable. And right now we have no education within in the school system, and even no education within the university. So we have to educate our students that there's a middle way between those extremes in which I was raised up, that there's no question about capitalism or communism, but there's a way in between where much is filled with personal responsibility, personal decisions. And yeah, that should be backed by an eco-social market economy, which is protected by politicians, and it should be backed by the old model of the honorable merchant. Thank you.